At number 4 in the 2025 NFL Draft, I have the man that's largely at number 2. That is Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado, the son of Dion. Now, I have some things that I really like about Shedeur, but I think that he's miscategorized, which was something that I was puzzled by when watching him, and maybe I was a little bit caught off guard. But first thing is, he's not as big as you would think. I think he's only 6'1", about 212. He has a very thick and big lower half of his body and extremely wide hips, which I think actually helps him be pretty powerful and difficult to sack, which is one of his strengths in my opinion. You know, not that he didn't get sacked a lot, because he did behind that offensive line, but there are moments where he's able to just kind of stiff arm away defenders, and when he's on the move, he's more difficult to get down. But he is not the biggest guy, okay? So him being put over Gabriel just because of size wouldn't have been fair in my opinion. I think he's one of, if not the most accurate passer in this draft. Just from a pure accuracy standpoint, his delivery and his release and his mechanics and consistency of throwing the ball was extremely high, especially within about 15 yards. Where my concerns come in are when he's throwing the ball down the field and trying to threaten defenses vertically, which we'll talk about. I've heard some comparisons to Kirk Cousins and Geno Smith. I think he's similar to CJ Stroud, but he's not as gifted. He's like a less gifted version of CJ Stroud. If you imagine CJ Stroud likes to, throw a nice accurate touch ball at all levels of the field, has very good mechanics, always comes out seamlessly throwing the football, but at the same time, he likes to ad-lib and get outside structure. I think Stroud's a little bit more athletic. I think he's a little bit taller. He's got a stronger arm, and his release is slicker. But I feel like Sanders is just like a worse version of him overall. I kind of just view Sanders and why he's at number 4. He's not better than average at really anything other than accuracy. He's not above standard for speed, size, arm strength, vision, pocket presence. It's really just accuracy. And accuracy is important, but if you don't know where you're going with the ball and you can't read the field at an exceptional level and you're not a great athlete, it's hard to find ways to become accurate, if that makes sense. So that's where it was a little underwhelming. He concerns me with how he feels like he is a better athlete than he is at times. He is Kirk Cousins, but plays like Josh Allen sometimes. That was a big concern for me. And we'll get into the positives and negatives, but that's kind of his play style, where people think he's this Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning-esque quarterback, where he drops back and he reads 1 to 2 to 3, and he delivers the ball on time with great ability for yards after catch, perfect accuracy, perfect touch. Like, yes, he's accurate, but I don't think people properly assess the mental aspects of the game with him, where I still think he needs a large area of growth. So we'll talk about that in the negatives, but positively, I think that his release and his arm mechanics are pretty effective for the style of player that he is. He has an over-the-top throw motion, which is more old school, and it's not around the body. Like when you see Aaron Rodgers or Josh Allen, they will bring the ball almost across their body. Tom Brady to a certain degree. Sanders is more over-the-top thrower, and this does help him when he is facing pressure, especially up the middle, where he faced more pressure on the tape than any quarterback I watched in this entire thing. His offensive line was absolutely horrific. And it does make his scouting a little difficult, because it's really hard to understand whether he should have gotten rid of the ball or whether he should create. So that is where it was really tricky for me to kind of decipher that. And that's where I think people are going to have a hard time with understanding what Sanders truly is. He has really good classical mechanics. It's consistent and it's consistently accurate. He threw a lot of screens. He was effective at it. A lot of quick underneath throws, really, productive at it. Everybody can kind of do that though. I think one of the positives is that he threw a lot of attempts. He had a lot of volume. He had to carry his team and his offense. They didn't really have a running game. And I thought that there was a lot of yak on the tape. Some of it was partly his doing. Some of it was not. I will say that Horn kid is pretty sick. I mean, watch out for him. That wide receiver, Horn Jr., he is fast. That guy definitely stood out to me. Obviously he had Travis Hunter. He had better receivers, I felt like, than a lot of the other quarterbacks that are ahead or below him. I felt like his offensive line, though, was trash, but that's kind of masking that he had the best receivers, in my opinion, out of anybody that I think I watched. When he plays on time, he is good. He is accurate within 20 yards, but he doesn't always play on time. He rarely loses control of the ball. His feet are always in line with his throw, even when on the move, where he's actually sneaky good at throwing the ball on the move, especially to his left. He's a very good touch passer that throws very catchable passes. He fits the ball into tight windows over the middle pretty consistently, even in contested situations. He has zip on short middle of the field throws, questionable deep ball ability. This is an area where I think it's a negative, where he struggles to get the ball down the field and throw an accurate ball with enough trajectory and touch on it to actually make it a good deep ball. I actually think his deep ball is quite poor, which is another reason he's not number 2, but number 4 for me. He holds the ball quite a bit, okay? And this is, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Because sometimes he needs to hold the ball because he's being pressured, and sometimes he holds the ball and he kind of he's looking at the guy that's open, and then for some reason he doesn't take the guy that's open, and he decides to extend the play looking for something better. That is what really annoyed me about his game. His creation ability, though, is underrated. He does have impressive play breaking skills and sack breaking skills, in my opinion. He's able to extend and have good vision and find receivers. It just isn't done in a super athletic fashion. It's more so done out of a slick awareness and a very confident demeanor, where he kind of just has a very good feel for everything when he's on the move. He's actually a lot stronger than you would think he is and has a thick lower half of his body. He's very tough in the pocket and can take big hits and still make throws. He has a good situational sense and is pretty good in the clutch. He had some really nice throws when he needed them the most. He's pretty good moving to the left and throwing at the intermediate level specifically, not necessarily deep, where he's not great at moving and throwing deep, but only really short to intermediate, which is good, but not great, okay? He's also a strong leader. I really like him. Like, this is not a hater take at all. I like Shedeur Sanders, like the personality. I would draft him for the personality and for the accuracy alone. I think that's a reason to draft him. I don't think he's a first round pick because I don't think he has enough physical skills. It's kind of weird to say that about Deion Sanders' kid, but his arm isn't strong enough. He's not twitchy enough. He's not quick enough. He's not big enough. His arm isn't great enough. His deep ball isn't good enough. I just feel like he's physically limited. That's why I wouldn't take him in the first round. Everything else, the way that he throws the ball consistently accurate, is arguably the best in the class. His off-the-field demeanor, leadership, and swag, I think, is a reason to believe in him. But I think he's more of a player that needs players around him to be successful, which is why I think his dad has always attached him to Travis Hunter and recruited these great receivers and all this stuff, because he's very effective when he has weapons and when he has players around him. But in the NFL, you need to be uncomfortable. And Shedeur was uncomfortable under pressure a lot, but it felt like he's only really effective with great playmakers around him, in my opinion. If he can get better at some of his negatives, he can overcome some of his physical deficiencies with mental efficiencies, but it feels like his mental game is not quite on the level that people think. So let's go through it. He surprisingly backpedals a lot under pressure. He does the Russell Wilson spin move in the pocket, but he's not quick. He doesn't play on schedule as much as people think. He tries to live in creation mode too much. And if you guys want like a deep dive into that specifically, go watch the Kurt Warner breakdown on Shedeur Sanders. It shows you basically a profile of what he is in that regard. He passes up completions for creation. He needs to be better versus pressure and to find when he's hot and where to go with the ball under pressure. He doesn't consistently read his concepts effectively. He's not a very aggressive decision maker. He often hesitates to throw the ball downfield, which is a Derek Carr-ish type of trait, which is concerning and annoying. So those are my notes on Shedeur Sanders. I feel like he's going to be a good game manager and a good player in a good system, but I don't think he's a potential game-changing talent. Now, you might be asking, why is he below Dillon Gabriel? I think the differences for me is Gabriel plays at a much quicker and faster rate mentally. He gets rid of the ball much faster. He goes to his decided target much faster. I think he actually has a stronger arm, and I felt like his accuracy wasn't much worse. Gabriel is also very quick, and I just thought his vision was extraordinarily good. But if you put Sanders ahead of Gabriel, I wouldn't be crazy, like go crazy about it.